and welcome back to another episode of Diatonic Dissection, where we crack open music to see what makes it tick. In this video, we'll be looking at the music for Aquatic Ruin Zone from Sonic 2. The music is amazing, as if that needs to be said, and was most likely many people's first introduction to the world of Afro-Cuban music, as well as reminding them of the horrors of the Sonic drowning music. If you want the sheet music for this video, as well as all my previous ones, for free, then head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Diatonic Dissection. There is a link down below to save you trying to spell it out. Some of these parts are pretty complicated, and there are a couple of concepts to explain along the way, so get ready to learn. Let's get started. The tempo is 130 BPM, and the key is D minor. There are 5 chords in section A, and in true Latin jazz style, many of them are sevenths. They are D minor, G minor 7, F major 7, C sharp diminished 7, and D. The D major having the F sharp that leads very nicely back to the G minor 7 for the repeat. Aside from the bass, the main melody is the simplest part. I've put it in the highest octave I can, as the mid-range is occupied by the extra melody and counterpoint parts. As I said, the melody is fairly simple, but it does involve some quick string skips as well as string crossing. As usual, what's labelled as the counterpoint isn't a counterpoint strictly, blah 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 blah. The part is fairly simple, so I don't have much to say about that either. I noticed while filming that the counterpoint parts sound an awful lot like the main theme for the film The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. You may not recognise it by name, but if you were to hear it, you're very likely to know it, as it's one of the most famous film themes in history. With that in mind, let's try and recreate Aquatic Ruin Zone in that style. Okay, we've had some fun now onto one of the hard parts. The extra melody parts are playing what is called a montuno, which is a syncopated pattern that is a key stylistic element of Afro-Cuban music. Again, you may not recognise it by that description, but it is borderline stereotypical for the genre. Both parts start out playing a 4-note pattern, and then it hits the fan quite spectacularly, shifting over to arpeggios. The first part has this series of arpeggios. If you want to see these parts performed slower, let me know down in the comments. It's the same deal for part 2 of the extra melodies, I'm afraid. This is the arpeggio sequence, and not much else to say apart from to watch out for the string skips, as there are quite a few of them. I decided to try and challenge/torture myself by learning both of these parts together on the piano in the true spirit of this genre of music. So here it is on its own, and then in a more musical context, recreating section A in a slightly more laid-back form, but still under the umbrella of Afro-Cuban music. Thankfully, after the complicated nature of the extra melody parts, the bass part is pretty straightforward. You could even play it on a 4-string bass if it's tuned to drop D. However, for this, I will be using my standard tuned 6-string bass because I am a fool who never knows when to admit that they are wrong. The main thing to be aware of is that much of the part starts off the beat, so you're going to need to get into the feel for it. There is also a quick 16th note run at the end of bar 9. The drums are another complicated part, I'm afraid, and we're going to have to dive back into the warm, tropical waters of the concept behind Afro-Cuban music. Another key stylistic element of this genre is a rhythm called the clave, or key in English. This rhythm is 2 bars long, and it can be referred to as either 2-3 or 3-2 depending on which half is played first. Here is a demo of the 3-2 clave with quarter notes. Now that we understand what the clave is, we can see what role it plays in the drum part. The clave is played throughout, and the other parts play around it. I have written it out as playing the clave with my left hand on the hi-hat, and my right hand and right foot are filling in everything else. I tried to be clever and do it with my left foot playing the clave, but it was too difficult. Here is the basic groove played very slowly. Now, here it is at different tempos, moving into the actual part itself up to tempo. Here is section A altogether. There are 5 chords again for section B, and this time they are G minor 7, F major 7, A7, D7, and then finishing with an A5 or power chord for the big dramatic finish. The main melody for section B is thankfully pretty simple, no string skips and minimal string crossing. The counterpoints in section B are a bit more like actual counterpoints as they do interact with the main melody. Both of these parts are playing the same rhythm, so it is essentially just one part harmonised. They're also fairly straightforward, just be careful of the 8th note triplet run in bar 4 as it feels like a gear shift before heading back into the regular part. Extra Melody 1 is thankfully simpler than its Part A counterpart. You are essentially just doing box shapes across 2 strings until the very end, so no string skips are required. The arpeggios that make up the part are very similar to those from section A, those being G minor 7, F major 7, C sharp diminished add flat 9, God, and D add 9. Extra Melody 2 is more complicated than Extra Melody 1 for section B, I'm afraid. You've got more string skipping, some movement around the neck / keyboard if you're on piano, and even having to change chord shapes on the fly. Again, the arpeggios are fairly similar to its Part A counterpart, those being G minor 7, F, A add flat 9, and D7. Sadly, I did not have the time nor sanity to learn these 2 parts together on piano like I did for section A, but here is another laid-back interpretation of section B. Compared to the mechanical horrors of the extra melody parts, the bass part is here to put you to bed with a nice cup of hot chocolate and to just tell you it's all alright. You're not playing off the beat anymore, but you have some string skips and random bars of non-repeating rhythms, as well as having to play the 8th note triplet part with the counterpoints. Though that cup of hot chocolate does come with a very light punch in the face. The drum part for section B is slightly more simple than section A, but it still involves the clave part being played on the hi-hat. The kick, snare and tom are doing the same pattern throughout pretty much as well. The drum part feels a bit punky, so let's throw the aquatic zone through that particular wood chipper and see what mulch we get at the end. Here is section B altogether. And that's it. We've stretched 50-ish seconds of music into several minutes of analysis. If you want the sheet music for this and my other videos for free, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/diatonic dissection. There is a link down below to save you trying to spell it. I hope that you've enjoyed the video if you're still here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!